Hello there, welcome to the news at 6. The news is live on Joy 99.7, Hits 103.9 FM in Accra, live in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM on Facebook live stream, and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. Go digital on Spotify and the myjoyonline.com app. Coming up, deadline day, register your SIM or get blocked. The minority in Parliament has, however, served notice to cite telecom operators for criminal liability if they comply with government's directive to enforce such sanctions.
They are criminally liable if they proceed with the illegal directive from the minister and the regulator.
We'll tell you more, plus hear from the NCA and a bit later in business.
Consumer Advocacy Group CAS International appeals to the Ministry of Communications and the National Communications Authority to grant special dispensation to mobile network subscribers who are yet to receive their Ghana card to undergo the SIM card re-registration. Details in 20 minutes.
And Lands and Natural Resources Minister vows to continue with fight against illegal mining after summoning 5 ministers from some of the most degraded regions. And later on, our Drive Safe campaign will tell you about how emission of carbon monoxide has been cited as exposing road users to health risks.
Cars stay longer hours in traffic. They are burning a lot of carbon monoxide. If it goes into your body, it also becomes toxic to whoever is taking them.
These and more coming up here on the News at 6 with me, Mama Vioso Abwaji. Thanks for joining us. This is Joy News, independent, credible, fearless. Now, the minority in Parliament is serving notice. They will cite telecom operators for criminal liability if they comply with a government directive to block SIM cards today. Today is the deadline for all SIM cards to be re-registered. The Communications Ministry has directed that all cards not re-registered should be fully blocked from accessing all services. But speaking to Joy News, Deputy Ranking on Parliament's Communications Committee, Sam George, said obeying the directive will be illegal.
I will use your platform to serve notice to the telcos that they are criminally liable if they proceed with the illegal directive from the minister and the regulator. They have a contract with their clients, and that is why we are suing them as we'll be attaching them to the suits for those who we've sued already because they listened. The telcos must know that they are multinationals. And yes, they operate in Ghana under the laws of Ghana, but they have a responsibility to positively defy illegality.
And that's Sam George there. Well, the National Communications Authority says unregistered SIMs will be blocked unless government reverses the directive. Dr. Poku Odusei is with the NCA.
Well, what I can say is that the directive was issued more than a month ago. So that's a completed act. And until the contrary information is provided, directive is given to me, there's no way that directive can be reversed. So the decision to go to court now is actually after the fact because the directive was long issued. And there's no way we are going to issue anything from what I know.
And that's the very updated position from the NCA. Meanwhile, former NIA boss Dr. William Ahaji wants government to desist from mounting pressure on the Identification Authority to complete a process he believes has failed.
It is very, very, very easy for the telcos to depend on NIA for biometric data in confirmation of those who are on their books. We don't need a new set of biometric data. What the monies that are going through the NCA and to the NCA and the ministry could have done better would be to assist the NIA to continue the process of registration and build a robust system that can allow for links with the user agencies and the banks and the other institutions.
Dr. William Ahaji is former NIA boss. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu has vowed to relentlessly fight illegal mining until the canker is curbed. The minister stormed the Ashanti region Thursday after summoning ministers from the Ashanti, Central, Western, North and Eastern regions as he bemoaned the spate of devastation by activities of illegal miners in these regions. After leading the military in some arrest, Mr. Jinapor indicated that the war against illegal mining hasn't wavered.
And I think it's a classic evidence of that call that it will require the concerted effort of all of us. It cannot be the fight for government alone or for ministers alone. It has to be the fight for all of us, citizens and all the actors in the body politic of Ghana. And this is what we have on our hands. But what I can say and the assurance I can give, and yesterday the president himself chaired a meeting on this matter and extensive discussion took place about that. We will continue relentlessly with integrity to do our best to come to grips with this matter of illegal mining.
Meanwhile, the General Officer of the Central Command, Brigadier General Joseph Appiah, has pledged his support to ensure that the war against illegal mining is won.
But the interviews that we've had with citizens and locals within this catchment area tells us that their livelihoods, particularly their water and their farms, have been devastated. So I believe that the war against the environment will be won. And I know with the assurance from the Honorable Minister, we will actually succeed.
And that's the General Officer of the Central Command of the Ghana Armed Forces, Brigadier General Joseph Appiah there. There are equally competent persons in the civil service. That's the charge to politicians by Labour consultant Austin Game, following claims by Clocksack that incompetent political appointees are bloating the public wage bill. Executive Secretary of Clocksack, Isaac Bampoado, alleges there are more than 100 of such appointees at the Ministry of Finance alone. Listen.
Before a minister can have a personal assistant, it must be approved by the Chief of Staff. There's regulation on that. And I think the law allows for only 2. But go to Ministry of Finance now. We have over 100 personal assistants, and what work are they doing? So you ask yourself, these over 100 personal assistants are Ministry of Finance. So what work would the civil servants be doing? Is it not creating redundancy for them? Meanwhile, they are earning salaries far above what, and they don't know anything too.
And that's Executive Secretary of Clocksack, Isaac Bampoado there. Well, Austin Game says such a practice has a tendency to collapse the public service. He's proposing legislation in the long term to deal with it, while the National Labour Commission is petitioned.
I'm so sad to hear my friend Bampo saying that. But it's true. And what they can do is to seek audience with the head of the civil service and see what the head of the civil service can do about that. And we should stop. And even Parliament is supposed to be. We can have a law. Our civil service is very rich with talent and people with tremendous knowledge and skill. Here we are now confronted with, fiscal policy matter. We do not have money.
And that's Labour consultant Austin Game. Time for our Drive Safe campaign.
Safe driving saves lives. Drive safe.
Civil Society Organizations Forum on Road Safety is calling for the expansion of roads in the country for safety purposes. According to the forum, the current state of design, especially in the cities, is one of the major causes of heavy vehicular traffic on the roads. This does not only cause wear and tear to the roads, it also increases the emission of carbon monoxide, exposing road users to health risk, according to them. Here's Regional Director of Consumer Unity and Trust Society, Appiah Kusi Adomako.
We need to have a broader conversation on engineering of roads in our cities. In Accra, most areas are traffic hotspot. For example, the Tetekwashi interchange, the N1 at the Fiesta Royal, the La Paz, and then the one at the Pokuase Enya interchange. Pokuase Enya traffic light. When cars stay longer hours in traffic, they are burning a lot of carbon monoxide. And some of this carbon monoxide, if it goes into your body, it also becomes toxic to whoever is taking them. And that is also a road safety, because too much CO2 in your body is not good. You are required to take in hot oxygen.
Regional Director of Consumer Unity and Trust Society, Appiah Kusi at Domako. Before we go, Education Minister Yao Osei Educhum has charged teacher training colleges in the country to inculcate critical thinking skills in students. According to him, this is one sure way of transforming Ghana's education system, and this initiative should start from the various teacher training colleges. You recall last week the minister suggested that Ghana and Africa education systems do not produce critical thinkers. He says teacher training students should be allowed the freedom to explore and not be tamed. And that's how we end the news at 6. Our top headline this hour: deadline day, register your SIM or get blocked. But the minority in Parliament has served notice to cite telecom operators for criminal liability if they comply with government's directive to enforce such sanctions. My name is Mama Vioso Abuaji. There's more news on myjoyonline.com.